Hello and welcome to the Measure of Whisky, where we discuss everything Scotch whisky. This week we are going to talk about blended malts. Are they any good?
Friday and the race is on. The city's gonna be a mess.
So, thanks for joining in. This week, as we mentioned, we are going to be looking at blended malts. Before we do, I would love to introduce you to Jared Lalonde. Say hi, Sam.
Cheers. Glad to be here. Thanks.
You're very welcome, and thanks for having me. Basically, this place is incredible. Before we get started, we are on location in Jared's bar, and most of you know I work in real estate. I go through lots of basement bars. Without a doubt, this is the best basement bar I have ever fucking been in, mate. It's unreal. I would love you just to tell the folks, what's the inspiration for this bar? It's amazing.
Well, we ended up moving into this house about 10, 12 years ago, and this basement looked like an absolute nightmare. My wife built a salon down here, and we just ended up making like basically a man room, and then it just one thing led to another, and next thing you know, we got a bar, we've got kids running around, we've got arcade down here. It's like flame central in our basement, and especially over COVID, I'm not sure it could have worked out any better.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah. Fraser, you have to go upstairs for a minute, pal. We'll come back down in 5 minutes.
Thanks, pal. Thanks, pal. He's awesome.
Yes, this is, like I said, probably the best basement bar I've ever been in. First and foremost, the reason why is because I never remember leaving it. And that's definitely your fault, not mine.
Well, there's a lot of scotch being drank around here, and
There's a
now
lot of
there's more
everything being
scotch.
drank around here.
Yeah,
Again, thanks a lot, Jared, for having me down here.
anytime.
Tell me a little bit about your knowledge of Scotch. I know you know everything there is to know about alcohol. One of the best cocktail makers, I think.
My wife is Scottish, so one of my biggest concerns when it comes to scotch is not spending a ton of money on it, because my wife is cheap.
She's Scottish, so there you go.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite? Like, would you say that you favour one over the other? What's your...
You brought this over today.
Yeah.
The
Monkey Shoulder, yeah.
and Balvenie is also another one that I quite like.
Massive fan.
I also like Lefroy to make.
You like a bit smoky?
I do. I like making it in cocktails, and I literally will use a 1/4 ounce in a cocktail because you don't need much more than that.
That's about it.
Yep.
Good for you, man. Perfect. We are going to talk about blended malts. Now, real quickly, there are 5 categories of Scotch whisky. You've got single malt, you've got single grain, you've got blended grain, blended malt, and blended. So there are 5 different categories. We're not going to get into any detail of each of these categories. We're looking at blended malt. Essentially, a blended malt basically means that the distiller has taken single malt whiskies and mixed them together. That's what these are. So these are called blended malts. And the master distiller attempts to try and gather different whiskies from different regions, from different distilleries. Typically they will mature them for a bit longer, they'll finish them in a certain cask, and this is what they produce. So we're going to decide whether they're any good or not. Because I know
It's almost like a mishmash a little bit.
100%. You know what it is?
Hypothetically, I couldn't imagine taking 5 different beers from 5 different vats,
That's
mixing
probably
them
not
all
gonna
together and hoping for the best.
Hoping for the best. No,
But let's
exactly.
give it a roll, yeah.
Yeah, the difference, and I should mention the difference between a blended malt and just a regular blend. A regular blend, the most common one's like Johnny Walker.
Sure.
Right? So most people know Johnny Walker. The difference is these two have only single malt in them, whereas a Johnny Walker has some grain whiskey in it as well. That's what differs it, nothing else. So we're starting with the Monkey Shoulder here. Now this is very popular. Monkey Shoulder is really, really popular whiskey.
I've had it before.
You've had it.
It's excellent.
Most people know about
it's
it.
on every bar,
It is,
shelf.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I figured this is a good one to start with.
I like the name. I don't know why.
Do you know why it's called Monkey Shoulder?
I do have no idea.
And this is a great thing about these independent bottlers. They're not tied to the tradition of the distillery. They can make up their own names. So back in the day, when people used to, or distilleries had floor maltings, they'd have the malted barley on the floor. They'd have one guy who'd basically come in with a steel shovel and he'd turn the malt. That's all he would do all day. See, after doing that for 14 years, his shoulder was like this. And they would call it monkey shoulder. That's what it's called.
You learn something new every day.
That's why it's called monkey shoulder. So, what's it like on the nose? Oh my gosh. Well, so for me, instantly, there is a Highland Speyside. There's a real kind of light, sweet vanilla smell to that. There's nothing peaty, nothing smoky.
No.
And I know that monkey shoulder tend to favour the Speyside malts.
My first smell of it and first taste of it reminded me a little bit of a Kentucky bourbon, a little more on the sweeter side.
There's definitely sweetness. Yeah.
Which I love.
That's lovely. That's really nice. Slainte.
Yeah, delicious.
So easy.
Yep.
That is so freaking easy.
This is like I wouldn't say this is a beginner Scotch, but I would say it's like for someone maybe he's like, I'm not sure if I like Scotch or not. This would probably start to draw them in to become a fan. There's
depth to it too. Like, I mean, with regards to price point, this isn't overly expensive. This probably cost me $60.
Okay.
I mean, it's bottled.
And I've also had Scotches that taste very similar to this that are like $120 a bottle. And I'm like, I don't want to spend $120 a bottle. Yeah.
Apparently, that's the beauty of blending single malts. Is typically what they'll do is they'll take some younger malts, but they'll add in older malts as well, just to bring in some depth and flavour to it. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And I have a question. Are these consistent all the time? If you buy
consistent.
Okay, if you buy a monkey shoulder, in 5 years from now, it's going to taste the same. Okay, I just
good question.
I mean, you're mixing all sorts of shit together.
Really good question, and that's the job of the master distiller.
Okay.
And when they are doing the distillation process, they're taking cuts at the exact same point. They are doing the whole process scientifically.
Okay.
To make it be consistent.
Yeah.
And that's obviously really important because people want the same thing.
100%. Yeah, especially when you're making cocktails.
Exactly.
It tastes different. Cocktail tastes different. The whole thing's ruined.
So far, so good.
I think it's excellent. Oh, we should have put the arcade on. Next time, yeah.
Monkey shoulder, that was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And as far, I mean, we could probably finish this video right now and go, blended malts are worth something if that's to go by. That was really, really nice.
Surprisingly good.
Yeah, like easy to drink, impressive on the nose, good price point. And that's bottled at 43%, so not too harsh. We just took it neat there and it was really easy. Next one we're going for is called Sheep Dip, and we spoke about names.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you where the name Sheep Dip came 100%. From. Again,
I'm sure it's creepy.
Well, it has to be called Sheep Dip, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day, 1800s, there were hundreds upon hundreds of illicit stills. So basically, distillers who were running their still illegally, so they didn't have to pay tax. Right, they were trying to dodge the tax man.
Bravo.
Right? Bravo to you. And at the time, in certain parts, mainly in the Highlands, there were lots of sheep farms, right? So what they would do is to transport their whiskey, they would fill their whiskey into barrels and they would label it Sheep Dip. They'd have a bunch of sheep next to it, they'd be like, this is my sheep dip, this is where I put my sheep in, dip it. But it was actually full of single malt Scotch whisky.
That's insane.
That's it. That's why it's called Sheep Dip. So again, a blended malt. This one is bottled at 40%.
Sorry, this is a blended malt too.
Blended malt, both in blended malt. So same scenario, they take single malts from different distilleries, mix them together. Sometimes they might finish them in a different cask. It's all pretty secretive, to be honest with you. You know, they keep their a lot of that information to themselves. But same scenario. So what's it like on the nose? Oh, it's lighter. It's much lighter.
Much
it's
lighter.
Not as pungent at all, is it?
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's
you hardly
like,
get that
like
at all.
like a beginner Scotch.
100% like that is.
Down here.
They are not down here, buddy. In fact, I think they're in Sadie's room.
Oh yeah, they're in Sadie's room. Go check it.
Yeah, go check Sadie's room, pal. I love that kid.
He just wants wants a drink.
Yeah.
It's like, can I join you guys? You're boring up there.
15 more years and we'll settled up.
Gosh. So as we were saying, very light on the nose.
Yeah.
It's, again, not much in the way of smokiness at all. I mean, presumably being called sheep dip, it's, I mean...
Alright, let's give it a spin.
Let's give it a spin. Spicier. I'm getting a little bit more spice to it.
I like it.
Me too.
I still prefer the monkey
100%,
shoulder.
like-
It's just a little more. Has like
There's more character in that. There's more, isn't there? There's more depth. There's
100%. Just all of
So
it.
the monkey shoulder, you're getting that. You get hit with the vanilla, and then you get that kind of burnt apple. You get that sort of warm spiciness behind it. The sheep dip's nice, but it feels just a little bit. There's no mouth. There's no kind of depth in the mouth.
It's a little
And
bland.
the finish is really.
It's
really
bland
short.
for a whiskey.
It's a short finish on it too.
Okay.
Not bad.
And
It's not bad
what is the
though. It's not
price
bad.
point of sheep?
That's less than the monkey shoulder.
Okay. Like
I mean,
$40,
Probably
$50.
45 to 50.
Okay.
So
And that doesn't always tell the tale.
you're absolutely right. But in this case,
100%. Yeah.
it definitely does.
I just find the sheep dip to be a little not lifeless. Just it just tastes exactly what you think it's going to taste
Yeah.
like.
I mean, I was going to say pour it down the sink, but we'll probably pour it down on egg.
I'm going to pour it into my mouth hole
Yeah.
just to make sure, just to be
Because
safe.
you've got to make sure. You've got to be
100%.
consistent.
We're not worried, dude. And especially you being Scottish, it's a cheap fucking mother.
There's no way I'm
cheap
pouring
sack
that
of
in.
shit. Yeah.
As always, the Measure of Whisky, we have a lot of fun here. Thank you so much for watching. Jared, thank you so much for having me.
Cheers, my friends.
And Slainte.
Look forward to next time.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, fellas.
Rising, and the race is on. The city's gonna be a